It's another exciting day and episode of Real Talk with BRG. I am Elizabeth and I am thrilled to present to you another insightful episode. So today we'll be talking about selling luxury homes in Nigeria. Definitely I'm not doing this alone. I'm here with
Peter John Innocent. Welcome to the show.
Yes, and we are going to be talking about sales, marketing, and creativity in the real estate sector. And as you know, we always have incredible guests and intellectual guests in different industries. So today we have two amazing guests here with us. We have Mr. Chidiebere Etoniru, who is the CEO of Joe Oniru
Joe Etoniru.
Joe Etoniru and Associates, and we also have Mr. Tony Nwaugo, who is the MD of Reverie Development and Brokerage firm. So we're so honored to have you on the program here with us.
Thank you.
Yes. Are you comfortable? Are you
Yeah,
happy? Are you pumped?
Relaxed.
How do you feel being here? So let's get you in that mood. How are you feeling? How does it feel to be here with us today?
It's great to be here, to discuss, pertinent issues concerning real estate in Lagos.
Okay.
I think one of the things I noticed about them is they don't have rings on. The wristwatches are very hilly. So you're very moderate with all of the jewelries, and you don't want to go flashy like us.
He's already an elder.
Okay. So I like the simplicity, even though you're very distinguished men, but that's fine.
And
That's
you look
fine.
great as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's an honor. So we can't wait for you to share your insights about the real estate industry. So before we kickstart the episode fully, I want you to run us through your activities for the day. What are your morning routines like? Let me start with Mr. Joe.
Okay, so my morning routines for the day: I wake up in the morning, of course, I say my prayer. I try to see if I can do a little bit of workouts. I go to the gym on the days I can. On the days I can't, I just do a little exercise at home. And then, of course, calls start coming in. I start coordinating with HODs, on site. I start trying to coordinate basically. And then after that, what I do is every day that I try to visit each of my sites. So if I have 6 or 7 sites, I go to each site, spend a bit of time, and then I end up in the office at about 4 o'clock. And then I meet with the brokerage arm, have some discussions with them. Then my main meetings with clients start from about 6 p.m. So I prefer evening meetings so from 6 p.m. to about 8 p.m. I round up, I go home, I spend time with my family too.
Sounds like a very, very good plan. So, Tony, how do you spend your mornings?
Okay, so mine shares a lot of similarities with his own. So I get up at 5, and then once I'm up, some days I pray first before checking my phone. But I think for the most part, I check my phone before praying.
We're all guilty of that. All guilty of that. Oh.
Exactly.
Because I always go to bed anticipating one message from somebody or something. You get? So most times I pick up my phone to check, and then I say my prayers. After that, I go out to run. Some days 5 kilometers, some day 10, some day 15. It depends.
It's showing.
I do that frequently.
Fit farm. So
So
you're telling us to
you
go and
really
do
do.
it. Okay.
The job is intense. It's intense, so you need something to balance it out. So after running, come back home, get on calls, follow up on calls and messages and things like that, and then there about 9 o'clock or so, I head out on some days I plan shoots. We have like a very active brokerage arm, so most times I'm headed out to plan video shoots or site inspections or just everything that has to do with real estate, and that goes on till about 6 p.m. and then start winding down. Some days it stays till like 10. Still in the business. I do late night inspections a lot, but then on some days, for the most part, we try to wrap up around 6, 7 o'clock and call it a day.
Does the aspect of activities, I think, going to gym, exercise, does it affect how you come into business, how you relate with your clients, your inspections?
Okay. So that part of going to the gym, running to be exact, I picked it up from another realtor that practice abroad, I think the US or so. So he says it's best to do the hardest thing first. And to me, running is like getting up at 5 to go run is the hardest thing I can ever think of. So once I come back from that, no matter what the day throws at me, I can stand it. So that's just the idea of going to run. Standing up, waking up by 5 to go do 15 kilometers intense. You get so, but once you come out from that, anything can happen. We're good to go. We'll deal with it. We test it.
So that's actually very nice, because the real estate industry is a very tough industry, and you have to be, aside being physically fit, you have to be mentally fit for the industry. So now that puts us back to the industry. As key industry players, what inspired you both? Let me start from Mr. Tony. What inspired you to get into real estate? How do you know that, this is where I want to be?
Okay. So for me, I've always been, when people ask me about inspiration, getting into the business, I used to say, firstly, I stumbled into the business, but then I've always been somebody who is, should I say data driven? I stumbled into it because I was waiting for my service year, my NYC call-up. And then I didn't want to stay at home and not do anything. So I was just looking for, something to do. And then I somehow stumbled on real estate online. But then again, the decision to actually go do it stemmed from, I had to look at this thing because I read petroleum in school and it was a complete deviation from what I read, And up until the point where I started, I already had my plans of going to, an oil and gas company to maybe, get a job or something, So, but the decision to start stemmed from looking at the industry and seeing that it has, a very good career progression. So at that point, I'd seen people who started from agent, brokerage, and then they've grown up to, defining the way we live in Lagos. They're the one building the estates. They're the one, doing the town planning, the designs, the everything. So people have gone from just selling to now actually designing the way Lagosians live. So to me, I definitely want to be part of something that's significant, and that was the decision to go all in.
I think rumor has it that you started out at some point you worked with BRG. Am I?
Not wide.
So
I never.
Let's hear that rumor, that part.
Okay, so BRG, knowing it's a brokerage firm, the beginning phase, they welcomed every independent realtor. I think this place that now that you guys call your office, your studio currently used to be our office space. It was a shared office space back then. Yeah, I had my desk somewhere around there.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I wasn't working for them, but it was a platform that welcomed everybody to come. So I was doing my independent thing. Then it was land to home, but I was doing it right from a desk from this place. So I helped in some of the activities, some of their media works and stuff while I was doing my own thing. So it wasn't really an employment or something.
That further established that you were already in the real estate.
Yeah, I was already in real estate before BRG started itself.
Oh, that's nice.
Before we already started.
Before BRG started.
You sure?
I'm shocked myself.
Interesting.
Before BRG started, I was already
that's
there.
nice. I really like to hear when people talk about their beginnings, because you actually don't know where they're coming from.
Definitely.
So it's good to know that. So, Mr. Chidiebere, I think for you, since you're married, even though I want you to talk about, you're definitely going to tell me how you started or what inspired you, but I also want to know how you create a balance, because now there's work and there's also your personal life, there's family. So what inspired you and how do you create a balance?
Can I add to a question? Especially because you said you answer calls by 6. Is that not supposed to be family time?
6 p.m.
Yeah, no, you said you
Like
do
your
more.
meetings,
Yeah, because when you were saying, when you
Like
were giving your
meetings in the
introduction,
evening, yeah.
you said your meetings, your call meeting starts by 6 in the evening. So
My
I'm very.
call start by 6.
So how do you now balance life and work?
Call me by 2 a.m. I'll pick up my call. Call me by 3 a.m. I'll pick up my call. There's no. When it,
Real
comes
estate
to,
for you.
when it comes to real estate, there's really no timing. You want to make money, then you have to do the job. If a client calls me from abroad, so there was a time when, we were very active. Of course, we are still active, but when we were very active, and most of our calls from diaspora will come around 12, 1 to 3 a.m. Those calls needs to be taken. Unless if you don't take those calls, if you're not picking up, they're calling somebody else. So when it comes to real estate, my wife understands. This is what feeds us. This is my business. so I can take calls at any point in time.
So madam
Just
is
call
not
me.
angry when, for example, you are answering one call for over 3 hours. Or,
And he's a female client.
please.
So you have to.
She's not threatened.
No, she's not threatened, of course.
Okay.
Why should she be? She's hearing. She's there. She's hearing the conversation. So there's nothing to be threatened about. So when you ask me what, I think you asked
Inspired,
what.
yeah. What inspired you to?
So unlike Anthony, who stumbled upon on real estate, I studied estate management as a course.
Oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
So I'm a certified estate surveyor and valuer, which means I'm registered with the Nigerian Institute of Estate Surveyors and Valuers. So I didn't stumble into it. I went to school to study real estate.
Okay, so this is actually serious business.
So this is serious business for
for
me.
you. Yes.
Yeah.
And I also, because going through your portfolio, aside the fact that you are also an estate surveyor and also a developer, you're also the vice chairman for Red and Lagos.
Yes, please.
So how have you been able to navigate all of that? Because this is like more workload to your portfolio.
So basically, it's just planning. Once you can plan around all these things, it's not a problem. That's the truth. So if you dedicate time for projects, you know what days you can visit your projects. If there are redundant activities, of course, you would also be there. So it's just basically planning. I don't think it's rocket science.
True.
Mr. Tony, I stop on your page just to be sure, and then I see all of the effects, transitions, a lot of the sound effect, and and it makes me ask, right? How did you discover your approach to real estate? I mean, how did you know that this is what I want to be putting out there? Yeah, that's one part of the question. The second thing I want to add to that question is, so your page does not show that you sell lands, you sell houses. When did you know it was time to sell house? When did you know it was time to sell land?
Okay, so let me start from the first one. How did I know that that is the marketing approach that we want to use?
Yes.
So, like I said earlier, I've always been a data-driven person. Let me piggyback back to my the way I started. I had a different brand, like going into NYC and all of that. I had a brand called Land to Home, and then in 2020 during the COVID, shutdown, I just felt I don't want to come out of this shutdown with the same thing that I've been doing before, So I used that, I think it was like 2-3 months, lockdown thing that happened in Lagos then. So I used those 2-3 months to restructure what I wanted to do, coming out with a different brand name, different, branding for the way I wanted my brand to feel like, and that stemmed from some of the things that happened prior to 2020. So I noticed, the kind of real estate I was doing before was attracting a certain kind of people. And so I was largely into selling, the lands at the far ends of Lagos, the Ibejuleki, Ekpe and Co. then. But then I noticed that the effort I was putting into my branding and all of that was attracting people that were coming to ask me for properties in Ikoyi, properties in Lekki Phase 1, properties in, Lekki and all of that. And I wasn't operating in that space, so it just gave me an idea that there is a void to be filled, So, and those certain type of people, I like to an extent, though everybody who buys property, I consider them discerning, but to an extent, we designed like, how would I put it? We designed like a client, the type of clients we want to sell for, like a proper demography of the people we want to sell for. And we'll find out that these people who love the fine things of life. So how are we going to sell to them? Style your marketing in a way that it gives them, an inclination of this is the fine thing of life, or this is what, luxury lifestyle feels like. So every decision making around marketing, from the tiny details like the fonts we use, to even the type of songs we use, even to, the color grading, the way we want, everything to feel and look out there. There's a thought process that goes behind it. It's just to satisfy, the needs of that particular demography of people. So that's really where, all you see on the platform comes from. Like, so you asked another question.
How did you know that land selling?
Oh, okay. So there's a thing. I might not actively be posting about my lands, but let's say 2024, for example, I made the most sales from lands, but I don't post them. Though they are like the lands in this other part of Lagos, so the Lekki and Co. But I don't actively go to, post them because, these lands are, most times they're not owned by companies. They are owned by individuals. So all I've done is build a marketing that lets people come to say, ask me for any type of property. So these same people who I post houses from come sometimes and then say, oh, I want to buy a house. We go there. Maybe the house is $1 billion or something. And then something just pops in their head. Why would I pay $1 billion? Can't I just buy land in this same estate and do my thing and stuff? And I'm like, yeah, I can provide you both of them, whichever you decide. So then we go get the land. So last year we made most of our deals came from selling lands, but it's not out there. We don't post it that this is, but so I service both type of clients, both lands, houses, but we actively just push the house part of things.
Okay, so curiosity want to make me ask here.
Okay.
Petroleum does not have creativity in it. I mean, I could be wrong.
Okay.
You said you studied petroleum in University of Port Harcourt.
Yeah.
So, how did you get your spider sense for creativity and bring it into real estate? Coming from two different industries, you see.
Okay, so I think that stems from like my own, the things that I'm influenced by, my own personal, let's say my own personal hobbies and the things that I like. So I'm very big on media. So anything that has to do with music, fine print, television, videography, and things like that. I've been on production sets before, so I love things like that. You get. So now that I run my own business, I would want to do the best of the best that with anything that has to do with media. So it's not really about what I read in school. Petroleum engineering is simply engineering. It's maths. It's how to get wealth, how to get crude from the well. It has nothing to do with. It's a science kind of thing, an engineering type of thing, but not necessarily the creativity, the media type of creativity. So that's just a personal thing.
You've done well anyway.
Interesting.
So let's come back home. Because I know we've been talking about luxury this, luxury that, luxury this. Mr. Chidiebere, how would you define luxury? Before you do this, because I think most times you hear people say luxury homes, we have luxury homes, and there's a certain kind of, there's this view that people have when there's this perception they want when they hear the word luxury. And then you hear other people saying affordable luxury, which sometimes I think, do you put affordable and luxury in the same sentence? But you've done great with development and you've built, luxury products, luxury development. So how, in your own terms as a developer, how would you define luxury?
So I like to be careful with that word.
Okay.
Because the word luxury is subjective.
True.
What you call luxury to somebody who just moved from Moe to Aja is not luxury to somebody who has always lived in Ikoyi. So that word is, in Lagos real estate, it's overused or overflogged. But when you talk about luxury, you have to be careful with that word. I would say I build quality homes. Because when you say luxury, you're looking at houses in Banana, like Dantata's house. Is it Dantata? Dantata. You're looking at what's this guy's name? Mike Adenuga. You're looking at there's this guy who lives in Ikoyi that is into betting. Not Ekeo. I don't remember his name. Okay. So when you're building a house on 500 square meter or 300 square meter with a tiny pool and all that, and you call it luxury because you put lightings and all that, that's not luxury. So for me, I'd say I build quality homes that will stand the test of time. Yeah, so I try to be careful with that word luxury.
I think there has to be a clarification, even in the industry.
Yes.
So we should be careful, even as realtors, they should be careful how they use the term luxury. So
I think people bastardize the word luxury. Everybody just call everything luxury, and not everything is luxury. And I think that's why sometimes we end up getting heat from from people, you know, that Lagos,
I think
you know.
it's actually the most abused word
True.
in
I
real
think
estate.
it's the most abused word. when it
And
comes to real estate.
recently, even with the recent call outs by Scott Zuma, yes, allegedly, where he said the houses in Lagos or the luxury houses in Lagos are overpriced. How do we create a balance? Are the houses in Lagos overpriced, or is it that the public just needs to know what exactly goes on in the market? Because I feel a lot of people just call out, realtors. They don't know. In fact, as a matter of fact, people call out realtors and they call out developers. And even though the developer has done a bad job, they still blame the realtors and call out the realtors. So are the houses in Lagos overpriced?
So I won't use that blanket word overpriced. I totally agree with you. There's some properties that are outrightly overpriced, but that word overpriced for all properties in Lagos is wrong.
Not suitable at all.
So I'll give you a breakdown of in one of the call outs he said, or they said that
Allegedly.
a flat in Lekki Phase 1 should not sell more than 180 to 150 million. So let's do the maths. And these are facts, not this
Verifiable fact.
verifiable facts. You buy a plot of land for 1.2 billion in Lekki Phase 1 for about 1,000 square meters. So which means if I'm doing 12 flats, the cost per unit on land is 100 million. To build a standard 2-bedroom flat, government fees, etc., you'll be looking at about 70 to 80 million, depending on what standard. So your cost is already at 180. You'd understand that inflation rate is about 25% now in Nigeria. As at last year, it was about 35, but it has dropped to about 25. So which means if I'm going back to the market next year to buy that same land, I'm expecting that the value would have increased by 25%. Then let us also assume that these funds are being borrowed. What is the bank rate? What is the lending rate right now? It's about 35%. As if I'm able to complete this project in 1 year. If it extends to 2 years, which means I'll be paying 70% on that fund. So if you look at the maths or the analysis, you're landing at close to 300 million per unit, because at 180 million, 35% is almost about 60, 70 million. So for 2 years, it's about 140 million. You're supposed to pay back the bank. So do the maths.
That's about 300.
So sometimes when people say Lagos real estate is overpriced, I tell them the market is big enough for everybody. You're welcome.
True.
Come on, try. I think, the government should actually be giving developers a pat on the back, because it's not easy. You need risk involved. The fluctuations in the rates. As at 3 years ago, a ton of reinforcement was 435,000. As at today, a ton of reinforcement is 1,060,000. So a chip of granite was about 350,000. About 250,000 last 3 years. As at now, we're buying at 550, and they're saying they want to increase. So that's what we were just discussing. What warrants this increase? The rates are a bit stable. Fuel is stable. Diesel is stable. So why are they increasing? But of course, we don't have certain controls over this. If they increase, it affects the cost of construction. So after doing all this, you also get your transformer. When you buy a transformer in Lekki Phase 1, it becomes the property of the government. Of the government, you don't have control over it. So at the end of the day, you also have to beg and pay them PR for them to connect this transformer. You do your own infrastructure.
To the power grid.
You connect to the power grid, you pay. So it's not easy on developers. That's the truth. I've seen developers that have run into problems. 2 years ago, you could get a flat off plan in Ikate for 55 million, and they sold at that rate. 55, 60, 70 million. Am I right?
You're correct.
About 2 years ago. As at today, that same flat is going for 180, 170, 160, because the cost of construction has doubled. So imagine if you had sold at 55 million. How do you reconcile your account? Are you not in problem?
Sure.
Imagine if the funds were actually borrowed. And you understand that with borrowed funds, once CBN increases rates, it also increases.
It also reflects on this.
So you can peg a project at 23%. Let us assume it was 23% or 20% 3 years ago, and as at today, you're landing at 35%. How are you going to survive?
Sure. Mind you, you've sold some of them already.
Sold off land.
These people are not, the clients are not ready to hear you out when you come back to say, "Oh, there's an increase. Give us more money." I just feel with this thing,
It's a challenge.
it's okay to debate on the cost of things, because at the end of the day, if the prices of houses comes down, we'll be happy. If the cost of material comes down, we'll all be happy. But I think some of the people who are doing these things online are channeling the energy to the wrong people. You're calling out realtors. Let me even start from there. You're calling out realtors. This is a market where, unlike what you're doing in the Western world, where you get like exclusivity for houses, a realtor you want to sell, you go to, a property owner, you negotiate a 3 months sales contract for you to, they will give you the property as an exclusive deal to go sell. During negotiations, you can debate price. You can even have a say with the owner of this property that, oh, let's sell for this instead of this. Let's, based on market forces and all of that. But over here, we run an open market. Anybody can walk into any property to sell. So firstly, as a realtor, you have no say when it comes to no control. You can't decide for the developer of a house how much he should price his house after building. He knows what he has spent to develop, and he's giving you at a price that makes sense. After factoring all that he has explained. So that's one. You're sending the energy to the wrong people. Then two, even from the place of the developers, you come at everybody saying house is expensive, this one down. When he started, he said something about 1,000 square meters in Lekki one is 1.2. As of today, I did an inspection. This was last week. What we're saying was about 1.3 plus. That's 1.350. That's what's the cost of this thing. So imagine somebody who wants to develop. You start from that, the cost of everything, which is the land. You're getting land for an insane amount. And mind you, you cannot even tell government or anybody to even regulate that, to say, oh, don't sell at this price, because it's a product of market forces. There's a demand. Why you are saying, oh, you don't want, somebody comes there, pays for it. And for people who have this notion that, hey, it's only people who do laundry, it's not people who do money laundry. It's the bulk of people who buy these things are normal people.
Exactly.
Yeah. And normal people. And there's something else again that I want to add. I think people are I don't know, maybe they've not come to the realization that in comparison to the last 24 months, we have a very weak naira that is below 100% of what it used to be in like the last 24 months. That's what some people have not. So people think let's say a 1 billion. People still think a 1 billion of 2025 is the same as a 1 billion of 2023. They are not the same thing. So many things have happened. Like 1 billion today. I had a property on my page, and then somebody came. Yeah, the property was for like 900 million naira, and then everybody came like, oh, it's expensive. It was a lady in Nigeria that lives abroad. I told them, this is 800 square meters with all the things, elevator, everything. Do you know that this is $600,000 that this property is being sold for? Do you know what $600,000 property is abroad? You get? So, and then when people, they'll come, they will say, oh, in Texas, do this. This is not Texas. It is different. The market forces here is different. The demand here is higher. So it's not even, I don't even fault the developers. Yes, we have some bad players. We had some people who overly do it. But the truth is, when I as a developer, I go into the market and buying a piece of land for 1 point something billion. Go to banana. That banana is it's approaching almost 3 point something billion right now for the same 1,000 square meter. When I start from there, I buy 1,000 square meter. This is not very big land though. They give us comparison videos of 5 bedroom square meters in abroad sitting on 1 acre of land. We're talking about 3 point something billion for 1,000 square meter. So how do you expect that person to even start in the first place?
Sorry to cut you. You are the vice chairman of Vida and Chapter Lagos. what are the strategies? What are the structures that have been set in place? I have two questions for you, basically. What are the strategies and Redan is currently setting in place as regards in favor of the developer and the realtors, basically?
So first of all, when you said realtors, Redan is just a
For
body
developers. Oh,
for
my apologies.
developers. So one of the things we've been able to do immediately we came into our office, we had a partnership deal with Lafarge. We had meetings with them for our members, because if we are buying in bulk, you expect that, okay, there will be a discount. So that's one of the partnership or collaboration that we had with Lafarge. So this would also help to at least mitigate or reduce the cost for members. And then you asked
What are the
else.
factors in play that warrants the price of a particular plot of land or square meter in a particular area?
So basically, it's demand and supply.
Simple.
It's value. Are you willing to pay? You would understand that, as let us use Lekki Phase 1 as a case study. In places where commercial activities compete with residential, it becomes a CBD,
Yeah.
a central
Business
business
district.
district. So you see that somebody wants to build his office there. Somebody wants to build their house there. So there's demand, there's competition for use. And then when it gets to that, people are willing to pay more. So these are a part of the factors that affects the prices of land. I've just used Lekki Phase 1 as
An example.
a case
study.
A case study. So when you also go a bit further, once Lekki Phase 1 is not affordable to the common man again, to the average, they start looking at Ikate. So that transcends down to other areas.
So basically,
Yeah, from Ikoyi, Lekki Phase 1, Ikate,
like that.
going down. So that's
Yeah.
it.
So basically, the higher the demand, the higher the price.
Yes,
the price.
the higher the price.
Because you now get to compete with a lot of people that are willing to even pay more. Like, that's just it. You get. So
And then-
Sorry,
please go ahead.
go ahead. It's fine.
And then when people say price, Lagos real estate is overpriced, the amount you used to buy a Toyota 3 years ago, is it same amount?
Obviously not.
Hasn't it?
Definitely
It has doubled. But when it comes to real estate, it's as
Triple in
if
some
or
scenarios
triple.
itself.
I used to buy a Camry for staff car or my colleague's car for about 5 million, 4.5, a few years ago. Right now, that same car is about 12, 13 million. And we're buying it without complaining. But when it comes to real estate, it's overpriced. Without knowing that the cost of construction has also doubled. Even labor. Back then, you could pay a laborer for about 3,000, 3,500, but now it's times 2. So all this cost is what accumulates to, the cost of construction.
So basically, people need to also get a hang of what is going on in the
on.
industry. So get information first before you call anyone out. Allegedly.
Yes. And then if you want to channel your energy, you should all channel it towards the government.
That's the truth.
So that makes
You have
money.
we were just discussing about tiles, CDK tiles made in Nigeria that is supposed to be subsidized, competing even more expensive than China tiles in some cases. So you talk about the tiles, you talk about cement. If the government is really sincere, start from there. Subsidize, give tax holidays, rebate etc. Reinforcement is a major cost when it comes to construction. Look for a way to force these prices down. Once you do that, over time, the ripple effect will be that
The market
the
will
cost of
correct
construction.
itself.
Yes, it correct itself. But you cannot. If I'm buying cement at over 10,000 naira, what do you expect per bag? And that our Dangote can wake up today and increase the price, and there's nothing we can do.
So it definitely affects the cost.
Yes, so that's it.
Wow.
But Mr. Tony, you with all of this that's going on,
Yeah.
and then you venturing into development, has it been?
Oh, okay. So we started. So would I say?
how's it
Would I
been?
say? I started at at a time that it felt like Jesus.
It was impossible.
It was impossible. And mind you, when I started in I think we broke ground November of 2023. So it wasn't that bad. Though it was really, but it was still
was picking up.
I
It
bought
was
my
really
first
okay.
my first purchase of iron came at
Enforcement.
500. Enforcement came at 515,000 per ton.
But
We used that for our piling. Now January to resume construction.
I think you called me then.
I called you now.
Yeah.
It went straight to about 1.3.
Wow.
1.3 million per ton. Mind you, this is something that is very important. You're buying in place a lot that is needed for the construction. So going from 515,000 per ton to 1.3 million, that's significant. So, but it's a thing when I tell my friends that once you don't enter,
You don't
are you going to leave the house in foundation? You must finish what you started, no?
So let's come back to marketing. We've spoken about luxury real estate. So now in terms of marketing, a lot of creativity goes into marketing, because if you look at the industry and the videos you see out there, it almost seems like some people are not making any efforts. But I've watched the delivery, Mr. Tony, of your videos. You make exceptional videos, and it looks like you put in a lot of work. I mean, you're creative. You're not just dropping a video for us. Like, anybody that watches your video would be so intrigued to even want to buy. So what goes on in your mind? I want to know, like, what goes on in your mind or with your creative team?
I think I'm coming to Mr. Chidi as regards this too. Because
Thank you. All right. So I get asked that a lot. Just as we just said about a property is costing like a lot to build, and so a developer builds a house. Maybe at the end of the day, it lands at 1 billion, as a sales price for a property that is quote unquote that expensive. Wouldn't you like to give it a marketing that is befitting of what the value of that house is? So if I want to sell maybe I don't want to use bottled water, because if you see a bottled water ad itself, they put in so much thought process into it.
Exactly.
So why would you now go out there trying to, and mind you, there was something I said earlier about, we being data driven and knowing what, the type of clients that we think can afford these things. A lot of them are, that's why I laugh when people say it's, what's that thing again? They said it's money laundry. I laugh when people say that. These are discerning people. These are discerning people that are working hard, so before they part away with a billionaire or something to buy a property, they want to an extent see the value of what that property is, and what best way to bring it to them without them being there is doing a very standard, well thought after production that shows them exactly why this property it's of this cost. And what it does for me at the end of the day, it attracts the right kind of people. That's why we go all in for those kind of marketing. It attracts the right kind of people that, when they come, because, there's in the street, they say game understands game. Yes. When they come, they know game recognized game. They know, this person is taking this thing serious. It's not practice today, be gone tomorrow. We're doing this thing because we love this. We love you. We're putting our passion into this thing. So when they come, they are very happy to work with us. And it's not just the video. It's a full circle. It's the full experience of buying a property. So we want you. Yeah, we want you from the first point of contact, which is maybe you've seen our ad. We want you to have a holistic experience of, fun, be happy, the whole process should make you feel at ease till the final signing of the document. You get, so that's just why we go all in.
It's very important that even as realtors who are listening, you have to put in the effort.
Put in the effort.
You have to be very creative.
If you want to earn the fee, you put
in the work.
But most times the videos even do the selling.
True.
Because it's the way you market a product that makes it sell for you.
True.
So, Mr. Chidi, when it comes to luxury homes, I know you've said we should put a
caveat.
Let me say
quality homes
or quality homes
in his words.
Do you think the need for these quality homes in quotes, do you think the need is declining, or do you think people are willing to still spend more to get a house built? I'm going to give an example. You have some houses where you have a 200 million naira house. The finishing is poor, because I'm sure you see that as well. Finishing is poor. And then you have, maybe in the same location, you have another house of 300 million. and the developer has gone all out. Like, you have great tiles, you have great kitchen, everything is just nice. But and at the end of the day, you notice that the house of 300 million is already sold out. So do you think people are people willing to spend more, to get the best of quality, or are people just buying? Let me just buy for buying sake.
So I'll reply your question with a story.
Okay.
Or what inspired me to start building quality homes.
Okay.
As a broker in Lekki Phase 1, we have a developer called Mr. Lekon. Once you meet a client who needs something in Lekki Phase 1 back in the days, all agents will be rushing to show that client Mr. Lekon's property. Because you know that once you show them that property, there's nothing again. If the client has the money, they will buy. So once you see a client that has money, you would rush. You want to be the first to show them
Mr. Lekon's house.
Mr. Lekon's house, and then his property does not spend the barest minimum time in the market. Once he builds, he sells. So that's what inspired me also to start building quality homes. And then back in the days, buying off plan was not a common thing. You understand? He was the first person to build a commercial property in Lekki Phase 1 with a cinema. And luckily, I was the first to sell. Or I was the one that sold that property. And the client who bought that property never saw that property. But because he knew that Mr. Leko's standard cannot be compromised, he just saw the pictures and he bought. As at 10 years ago or 9 years ago, it was not a common practice like now. So back to your question, would people buy quality homes? Yes, they will. So if you build well, you would sell well.
Definitely.
That's the truth.
Definitely. So definitely, as developers, I think developers need to just keep doing better.
Yes.
Make sure that you keep giving us high quality homes, so that because people are really, really ready to spend that money. I mean, I wouldn't want to buy a house of, maybe 200 million.
It's a big investment.
It's a big investment.
Why would you
I wouldn't want
chip in
to.
out
Yeah.
on
So
something that
a
is
lot of
not-
people should not even compromise on standard. So people are willing to pay
And then
for
please,
that.
I'd like to add to it. When we say quality, do you realize that the same block that we use is just detailing? Are you detailed enough? It's same tiles. The tiles is not 1,000 naira. Every tile you see is expensive. The choice of tiles, the quality of tiles, it's same block, it's same materials. Everybody uses, but to an extent. But it's just, are you detailed enough to detail this property as it's supposed to be? So that's the difference between a developer who is detailed and somebody who just wants to build for profit.
And even in the sales too, how do you convince most of these clients? I'm still going to go back to the example I gave of the 200 and the 300 million naira homes. If you're dealing with probably a client who likes high quality homes, you will notice that, they're willing to pay this amount. But if you're dealing with probably the mid buyers, they probably just have 200 million. And you're trying to convince them. How do you convince them to get the one of 350 million naira? Like, let's say as a realtor or as a developer or even as a marketer, how do you convince for this? I'm saying this for realtors because most times you have people who just have this money. Some don't have, but they have to make the effort to get the cash. So how do you convince them to say, okay, you know what, leave this one, go for this high quality product?
So if a client has seen something they like, it's now left for you as a realtor to put in your negotiating power. You can also speak with the developer to see how to extend payment. To have payment plan.
Yeah.
So let us assume that this house is 200 million and the person has 250 million. You can say, okay, can you spread payment between 3 to 6 months? And most time it is possible. So that gives room for the client who loves that house to go and look for extra funds if the person really loves the house that much.
That's amazing. So, Mr. Tony, are there times where you see houses and you're like, no? Because I know on your page too, you're very selective about what you post. So are there times where you are just shocked? Can you give us any experience where you've seen something? No, shocked in a bad sense. Where you've probably seen a lot of properties, maybe properties in a very good location, but maybe the developer didn't take advantage of that space, or he just built
That happens a lot of times, There's one thing I know. A lot of developers do a good job, but we still have a huge percentage of people that just do things haphazardly. That's a thing. If for me, I would even advocate for redance, some kind of structure,
Quality control.
yeah, where they control quality. With a lot of people just come there and just do anything, and because they believe, oh, somebody would buy it irrespective of whatever. And the truth is, somebody will buy it, like, no doubt. That, like, I will even like say something about what you asked him. If somebody has 200 million and the good property is 350, but there's a bad one for 200, let me tell you, most Nigerians will go and buy that 200 like that. They would sometimes, but what they don't know is, I was having a conversation with a developer. He said, I don't want to be called developer. I want to be called an architect who develops, because he read architecture in school. So he said, have I noticed that, take Osapa, for example. When you go into Osapa, that's not the Victory Parks or
By the right.
by the right. That most properties
they
there,
all look alike.
apart from being looking alike, they built some of those properties in the last 5, 6, 7 years. But do you know that developers are going there, buying those property, breaking them down, building something else?
Yes.
Do you want to buy a property that in the next 7 years, it is so bad that the only option is to sell it to
bring it
somebody that
down.
will break it down, and then people want to build something for what? So most Nigerians, you might think it's a discerning few that would rather say, okay, realtor, please get me a payment plan. Let me pay for this good one, or do something. Some of them would be like, you know what, don't worry, I'll take this bad one. House. We would rather have now the same thing. We'll go. No,
We'll change.
That's what the general outlook is most times. That's why you go to Osapa these days. People are buying houses, breaking them down. Houses that were built like 5 years ago, not old houses, so to break them down and then build something else, because those houses are not so great. They can't stand with the competition or the quality of houses that you have today. You get. So for me, I see those type of houses every day. The shocking moment happens every day, but I have a strong commitment in our business where I would only list what I can, what I would buy. And do you know what? I tell people that any property that I see, it doesn't even have to exist. Like, it doesn't have to be fully built. Any property that I see, even if it's the 3D, but I know this developer delivers a good home, I'll carry it on my head. I will go all out, because I know it is easier to convince a client to buy. A client that is, because of course, I've already said it, that our brand attracts very discerning people. So it's easier to convince the type of people that we attract to buy that very good one than to buy. Take, for example, when I saw one of Mr. Chidi's property, was it last year or last 2 years? The day I saw it, it was I think it was 3D I saw first, and then I went there. They were still under construction. I told him this house was looking like it looked so good, and I was very certain I was going to sell it. Like, before anything, he was like, try for us. So I don't know how long it took, maybe in like 1 month or so. I brought somebody that was excited, and mind you, that house was relatively expensive than the other things you have around, but because of the quality was obvious. When we got to the meeting, we all know the topography of land, or the soil conditions of land in this axis. Mr. Chidi brought out pictures of the piling, was giving details of how they were 9 meter, how they, it was giving us details. The clients can tell that this is somebody who poured himself out into this project, So there's an environment. I think it's Agile or something. There's one place where you go to. Sometimes you see houses, they are tilted. Why? So for people who are discerning, when they go to, if you price it because of it costs, building good thing costs like extra money. If you price it according to what you've built it, people would rather pay for the good ones than buying those.
People would pay for quality.
Yeah, they'll pay for quality than buying those wrong
Because
type of properties.
Over time, you would forget price.
Yeah.
But quality
Remains. That's the truth.
There's one popular saying that says price is a function of value.
Yeah.
So over time, even when you fade, when you look at your house, you're like, I'm glad I paid this amount for it.
Quality remains after price is long forgotten.
Yes.
That's
the word.
Yes.
So what strategies are you going to point pick for realtors who want to now transition into selling buildings, into selling properties, as regards digital marketing, because you have some footings in branding, digital marketing, and the rest.
Okay, I should regards digital marketing. Okay, I always tell realtors that the times that we are in, the easiest way to get the best visibility is leveraging on social media platforms. So why not go on Instagram where you have billions of people than try to market, offline on your own? If you have the network, good, but after a while you get to exhaust that. So for a business that wants to, stay long and do well, you want to create a marketing channel that lets you meet new people that you don't know from anywhere consistently. And what gives you that better platform than social media? So for me, have an online presence that tells people exactly what you do and tells them how dedicated and how good at what you do, how good you are at what you do. So get it, if it's on Instagram, if it's on YouTube, any platform that works best for you. Get on those platforms, be consistent with your posting, because the algorithm on these platforms reward consistency. Be consistent with your posting, and people will find you.
Over
That's
time.
just it. Over time, people will find you. And then one thing is, you end up building a community, because it gets to a point where some people, maybe they are not even ready to buy. They could be HNIs too, but maybe they are not interested. But because they've seen the quality of what you do, I get that a lot. They just refer you. They will tell, I see. They will hear, I had know somebody online who does a good job. Call this person and stuff. So for any realtor out there who is trying to have a digital marketing strategy, just pick platforms. To my favorite two is Instagram and YouTube. Pick these two platforms, or if you have other ones that you want to leverage on, fine. And then just be consistent with your posting, and then put out quality content.
Intentional.
Be intentional about what you do.
Create your own niche.
That's just it.
Off the top of your head,
Yeah.
right? How do you target those guys, those HNIs?
Okay, so it's a culmination of so many things. It's being intentional about it, from the type of things we say. I was telling my guys recently that he was like, just when we shoot a video, it was like, just freestyle it, sir. I said, no, if I freestyle it,
It will sound
show.
freestyled.
I want to be intentional about the type of language that we use in selling this type of properties. So from the mundane things like that, be very intentional about it. The type of message you put out. If you are, if you somebody who then goes ahead to maybe run ads and stuff like that, have just make your brand something that an ideal client that you're trying to get. If put yourself in that person's shoe, if that person sees this type of thing online, will that person stop to say, let me check it out? So try to think like them. Try to think like them. And of course, thinking like them might require you being in certain circles. So, but I'm sure you can get even you can have a conversation with AI platform this day, and they will teach you how some of these wealthy people, what they think like, So just have your ideal clients, and then try to think like them, and just tell yourself, whatever I'm trying to do with this ideal person, if this person sees this thing, will this person stop to want to, know more or ask? So let all your content efforts, your marketing effort be centered around trying to, produce something that ideal client would like and would want to connect with. So that's just it.
It's simply amazing.
Interesting.
So, Mr. Chidi, for young aspiring realtors, because you have transitioned from real estate marketing, it's not like you stopped, because I know you still do your marketing as well. From being a realtor to being a developer, now you're the chairman of Reader.
I think the both
What
of them.
advice?
Vice chairman.
Vice chairman. Like,
Come on, chairman would impeach me.
So I'll correct that to vice chairman of Reader.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to aspiring realtors and even people in other industries who are looking to carve a niche for themselves, especially for realtors who are looking to sell high quality homes or luxury homes here in Nigeria?
So I think the most important thing is starting early. If you know what you intend to do, don't waste time. Start. Of course, because you'd understand that starting is not easy.
True.
That's the hardest part. But over time, it will pay off. So start early, create a niche for yourself. Be your own. Don't try to be like Reverie. Don't try to be like me. There are people, yes, it's true now. Because there are people who try to be like, what about this person? There are people that have come in and have created their own niche and are doing extremely well.
True.
Be
So
yourself.
whatever you find doing, just create your own style. You have people in in the village doing TikTok.
Yeah,
And
that's
they're
true.
still selling.
Yeah, and
They have their
followers.
this guy on Instagram speaks pidgin
True. That's
and all that.
marketing
That's his
strategy.
niche.
And he
And he's
sells.
selling.
True.
I just found out that he just opened his own estate. So which means he has been selling for him to now have his own estate in his name. So create your own niche. Be you. Don't be anybody else. You understand?
But there's nothing wrong in copying. I mean,
But I think the market rewards originality to an
Yes,
extent. So originality
exactly.
from the front, from the point where nobody is saying you can't get ideas from people, but add your own
Be
individuality.
yourself. Add your own
get-
ingredient. Be
Because,
you.
you know,
Let me
it's-
see a video and say, this
Is
is
this person.
Is this person.
Yeah, because the barrier to entry into doing this is almost non-existent. Anybody can
low.
do it. So it's overly saturated. So coming in to stand out puts you in a different pedestal. So just find something. I used to tell realtors that, do you know that sometimes people buy from you because of the most mundane thing? Yes. We all sell the same thing. Yes, like I said, there's no exclusivity. The same house Mr. Chidi goes to market, I would go there market, they would open the door for me to take my marketing material. So sometimes people buy, I've seen people who the decision on who to buy from came from, I like the way that person dresses. You know, I like the way
like
that
the way he
person
speaks.
talks. I like the way that person carries
Even
himself.
that's the same.
The most mundane thing.
Yes.
So,
It's true.
So add your individuality to whatever you're doing.
So when it comes to selling real estate, it's emotional buying. Apart from professionalism to an extent. If you see the person, you like the person, and you see that this person is genuine, most likely, whatever piques your interest, that's what you would go for.
True.
So when he said even the kind of songs, do you know that I bought things because I bought things online because I like Amapiano and this. No, I'm telling you, it's very very mundane things. I like, and there's a page that I prefer to go to a page, or I bought from a page that they play Amapiano always, and I'm seeing what. So people buy because of certain things, and that's the truth.
True.
Yes, that's very nice. I'm sitting here and I'm looking at you both. Both exude so much elegance. You know, it shows when you see someone who sells or markets a high quality product or property, it just shows in them.
Thank you.
So we're super honored to have you here. So as we gradually wrap up this episode, thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure is all
So
mine.
definitely we're not going to leave you without giving you billions from the BRG.
So is it
So
a
I'm
naira
saying
or
that-
is it a dollar?
No, we do only foreign currency.
Hey.
Dollars and all that.
things only.
Oh, we don't have
So on behalf of
Project don't complete.
with BRG, Peter and I would be presenting you with this. This is just to show our appreciation
Thank
for
you.
you.
Thank
So
you
what
very
we
much.
need, we can shout, you can
Thank
print.
you. Real talk with BRG.
Yes,
The great
yes,
one.
yes,
I had
yes.
fun, you know, speaking with you guys.
Thank
It was
you.
a great
Yes,
one.
yeah, thank you
This is
so
for you,
much.
Mr. Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So thank you
You
so
want
much.
to open it and check the
Yes, so-
You have to open it on camera.
Yes, now make sure that you're saying
that
dollars.
you tell our audience that
Do we have to?
It's a
Interesting. No.
This is like
if
up
it's- if
to, up to 50 billion.
We're billionaires now. We're billionaires. We have to wrap.
This is nice.
We have to rep our brand. So thank you very much. So there you have it. So this is Real Talk with BRG, and we had so much fun discussing luxury homes here in Nigeria. So stay tuned for us next time. And once again, I am Elizabeth, and this is
I'm Peter John Innocent.